Hello, welcome back to Storytime with Alex, reading Supernatural Night Terror by John Passarella. The nocnitsa is having a wicked way with Clayton Falls. Dean and Sam have gone to the rescue of Sophie Bissett, who's given them a call. Let's see what's happening. Rocks are falling from everywhere and there's sinkholes. Let's see. Chapter 28. Dean ran across the street with Sam on his heels. The house on the right creaked and groaned, shifting towards the left, minutes from collapsing. From behind that house, a father, mother, and two young children emerged. They were all in pyjamas, the children, a boy and a girl, crying softly as their parents held them close. "That's Sophie Bissett's house," the mother said, pointing. "She's trapped inside." "I know," Dean said. He handed the woman his trash can lid, while Sam passed his to the father. "Use those. Find cover. Hide under a tree or inside a neighbour's house." As if to emphasize Dean's warning, a series of rocks pelted the second-story roof of the family's house, bounced and dropped with thuds onto the front lawn. Looking as if they were trying to evade sniper fire, the family sprinted for the nearest tree. Edging past the collapsed portico, Dean tried the front door of Sophie's house, but it was jammed in the twisted frame. First-floor windows to the right had shattered, looking like hungry maws with crystal teeth. Dean took out his handgun and ran the barrel along the edges of the window frame, clearing away the jagged glass. Entering the development from the side opposite the sinkhole, a police cruiser rolled up, lights flashing. Senior Patrol Officer Carleen Phillips jogged across the front lawn, holding up a hand. "Wait, I've called for fire and rescue units." Another patrol officer Dean hadn't met joined her, hand poised on the hilt of his gun, as if he thought shooting someone might improve the situation. The house on the right creaked again, then a boom sounded as if a joist had split in half. The creak intensified. "No time," Dean said. "Woman trapped inside." "We have gas lines here," Phillips said. "These houses could blow." "This whole block's in danger," Sam said. "You need to evacuate everyone." "Probably a good idea," Phillips said. She flinched as a rock dropped inches from her face. "Come on, Callahan. Let's go knock on some doors." Dean ducked through the window and found himself inside a house that looked as if a giant's hand was in the process of crushing it. The walls were split, wood bursting through drywall. The hardwood floor had buckled upwards in some places, sagged in others. In the middle of the living room, a hole had opened up and swallowed a coffee table and an entertainment centre. "Sophie!" he shouted. "Upstairs!" she yelled. "I'm stuck!" Dean mounted the staircase carefully. The banister railing was split in two places, and several steps and rises had shattered from lateral pressure. He skipped those that looked unable to bear any weight. Sam climbed through the window after him and looked around. The house trembled and support beams groaned. The ceiling above the living room had sagged, raining bits of debris down on hazy dust clouds that made breathing difficult. "Dean, this place is right over a sinkhole," Sam said. "I noticed," Dean said. "Warn me if anything bad happens." "Like a natural gas explosion?" "Yeah, like that. You'll be the first to know." If the downstairs looked bad, the upstairs was worse. Dean found Sophie lying on her side in a doorway. The door had shattered in several pieces and was wedged into the collapsing door jamb, pinning Sophie's ankle, even as it propped up the weight that would otherwise come crushing down on top of her. "You came," she said, a look of relief on her face palpable. "You called," Dean said. Her white blouse was smeared with dust and dirt, but not blood. "Hurt anywhere beside the ankle?" "Don't think so," she said. "Are you here to amputate my foot?" "I'd like to avoid that if possible. Makes two of us." "But we don't have time to wait for the jaws of life to pry you out of here." "Suppose not." "Do you have a golf club?" "No." Dean called down the stairs. "Sam, we need a crowbar." "I have a baseball bat," Sophie said. "Baseball?" "For protection," she said. "I dislike guns." "Might work," Dean said. A few seconds later he'd navigated the distorted perspective of her twisted bedroom and retrieved the baseball bat from her closet. He worked the thin end of the bat under a gap near where her ankle was trapped. "On 3, I want you to pull your foot out. Move as far from this doorway as you can and cover your face." "Pull, move, cover," she said. "Got it." 1, 2, 3. Dean pressed upward, pushing a section of the doorway up. For a second, the pressure on Sophie's bloody ankle was released, and she scrambled out of the way. Pieces of the shuttered door cracked and split and vanished under the collapsing wall. A loud rumble filled the house, and the wall continued to twist and fall. The floor beneath them began to heave like the deck of a storm-tossed ship. "We gotta move!" Dean cried. He grabbed Sophie's hand, pulled her up, and helped her to the top of the stairs. The banister railing was gone, and the stairs had tilted at a 30-degree angle. All around them wood cracked and split, window glass crashed, drywall broke and shattered, creating more plumes of suffocating dust. "Come on!" Dean encouraged Sophie. Dean helped support the limping Sophie along the twisted staircase. It was like running along a rotating balance beam. The living room sofa had fallen lengthwise into the expanding sinkhole. A series of crashes sounded from the back of the house. Dean guessed the kitchen cabinets had opened and disgorged their contents. They both fell on the stairs, but continued to scramble down on hands and knees, and finally reached the bottom, where Sam waited, holding a crowbar. Dean was about to help Sophie through the slowly collapsing broken window when Sam caught his arm. "Wait," he said, and wedged the crowbar in the window. "This should buy us a few seconds." Sophie slipped through first, then Dean, and finally Sam. He yanked the crowbar out and jumped back as the window frame disintegrated under the weight of the wall. They raced away from the ruined house, Sophie favouring her ankle. "Looks like the rocks have stopped falling," Sam commented. Lights flashing, a fire truck arrived, tooting its horn. A steady stream of cars flowed round the emergency vehicles as Phillips and Callahan routed them away from the sinkhole. The house next to Sophie's shifted too far off centre, and large sections splintered and broke away until the left side was a shattered ruin. Light flashed and an explosion roared, engulfing both homes. The concussion wave shattered windows in adjacent houses and blasted debris into the street, pelting cars and emergency vehicles. Callahan and Phillips dropped to the ground defensively. Dean, Sam, and Sophie staggered from the force of the explosion. Waves of heat flashed over them, instantly evaporating perspiration. Chunks of burning wood and charred bricks and siding fell much too close for comfort. As they jogged to the Impala, Dean's ears were ringing. Felt like he had earplugs stuffed in both ears. In the distance, another explosion lit the night sky, and the ground trembled. The tree above the Impala was leaning over the street, some of its branches low enough to brush the roof of the car. Roots on the far side of the tree had risen up between broken slabs of sidewalk. They jumped in the car, and Dean swung it round in a sweeping 180-degree turn to exit the development before the rest of the street dropped out from under them. "My house," Sophie said from the back seat, her voice a soft monotone. "My home. It's gone." "You're alive," Dean said. "Am I? This feels like a dream." "It's somebody's dream," Sam said, "but not yours." Sam's cell phone rang. "Jeffries," he told Dean and took the call. "Okay, we're on our way." "What now?" Dean asked after Sam ended the call. "Nazi zombies are back." The one who dreamed of the collapsing underground would never dream again. Old before she first claimed him, he had little more to give her. She left his withered remains and moved to the next victim in her familiar path. This one was young, with enough vital energy to feed her for days before expiring. She slipped into his home as insubstantial and as an errant breeze, and flowed into his room, nudging him towards sleep, so she could slip into his fertile subconscious. Trevor Dietz hunched over the student desk in his bedroom. His mum had warned him not to wait until the last minute again to work on his latest project, a World War II book report due Monday morning. Peeved, he had retreated to his bedroom and slammed his door. Fine. Would finish the damn thing before Sunday morning, even if he stayed awake all night to complete it. Then maybe she'd get off his freaking case for once. Unfortunately, the reading assignment was a boring book written by some old geezer with a fondness for dates and statistics that made Trevor roll his eyes. Instead of finishing the book, he sat hunched over his desk reading the end of the Hitler's Zombie Force graphic novel. Now this guy knew how to tell a story. The Allies were winning the war, so a desperate Hitler decided to zombify his entire army. Any soldier unwilling to make the undead sacrifice for the fatherland was summarily shot. More Nazi zombies than ever, he thought. How cool is that? Despite the rising excitement on the final pages of the graphic novel, Trevor couldn't help yawning, closed his eyes and rested his head on the desk, falling asleep in seconds. Oh, and that's the end of chapter 28, with a promise of more Nazi zombies to come in chapter 29. See you there.